Hey, hey you. Is that a rocket in your pocket, or are you just excited to join the Rocket Club? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Steven, and I'm here to welcome you to the introductory video for the Ramblin Rocket Club here at Georgia Tech. So who are we, and what do we do? Well, if you didn't already figure it out, we build rockets and balloons, and we launch them and have lots of fun doing it. We are a student-run organization under the AE department, and our goal here is to provide you with individual and group-based projects so that you may learn and get experience that you otherwise wouldn't get inside the classroom. And this includes everything from learning the basics of rocketry to designing a custom-built solid rocket motor that can fly a 14-foot rocket 30,000 feet into the air. We want to prepare you for the outside world, and this club might be the make or break that gets you hired. And we're here to help you along the way. You don't need any prior experience to join, and you can be from any major. We teach you everything that you need to know, and we hope that you also have fun with us along the way. There are two national organizations that are related to high-power rocketry. One of them is NAR, the National Association of Rocketry, and the other one is TRIPLE. We are a NAR chapter, which basically means that we're allowed to launch high-powered rockets, and we can get our members certified in rocketry so that in the event that they want to purchase a high-powered rocket motor in the future, they can. The club is split into 4 teams: high-powered rocketry, GT experimental rocketry, the Student Launch Initiative, and high-altitude balloons. And I'll go through each one in detail so you'll have a better understanding of how the club operates. High-powered rocketry is essentially how this club got started. About 10 or so years ago, a bunch of guys got together for the sole purpose of building rockets, and we still do that. So if you want to build your very own rocket to launch, you can. Now, I know some of you have already assembled those little Estes rocket kits with those small A to D motors. We focus specifically on high-powered rockets. Well, you may be wondering, what is a high-powered rocket? In its most basic definition, it's one that has a letter designation of H or higher. If you're looking for a more specific definition, NAR defines it as a motor with an impulse of 160 newton seconds or more, or a rocket that weighs more than 1.5 kilograms, or a motor that contains more than 125 grams of propellant. To purchase these motors by yourself, you must become certified, but so long as you are a member of this club, we will provide you with these motors for free. And to become certified, you must show that you can launch a high-powered rocket and recover it in perfect condition such that all you need to do for it to fly again is to put in another motor. Most people who join HPR get their level 1 certification, and some go on to get their level 2, and we've only ever had one person in the history of the club get their level 3 certification. I should also mention that as of the recording of this video, the RRC focuses only on solid rocket motors. Just in case you don't know, rocket engines that use solid propellant are referred to as motors, like you see here, and rocket engines that use liquid fuel are called engines. If you are looking to dabble around in liquid-fueled engines, you should look towards YGSP, but they are ITAR restricted, so do keep that in mind. Moving on, it becomes quite obvious that we can't launch our rockets in Atlanta airspace. So what we do is we'll drive somewhere 1 to 4 hours away to a place that will host a rocket launch. These places are usually empty farmland in Alabama, Georgia, or South Carolina, whose landowners allow other NAR chapters to host a launch. And these launches usually happen on a Saturday or Sunday once a month, and it's an all-day event. But because of this pandemic, we are expecting to have fewer launch opportunities this year. So other than getting to fly your rocket, you get to meet people who have been doing rocketry as a hobby. These folks have been doing this for years, decades even. And every time we go to one of these launches, there's usually at least one interesting rocket that they bring for people to see. And who knows, maybe you'll get to bring back a great story like that of RIC 3 right here. RIC 3 was made by a guy named Matthew, who has long since graduated. and he was trying to get his level 2 certification. Now, if I go back a slide, he has a rocket named Ricky 2. I believe this is Ricky 2. And right after this picture was taken, if I remember correctly, there was an improperly timed parachute deployment which delaminated the cardboard. And so what Matthew did was he basically cut away the section that was delaminated, taped the two ends back together, and launched it that way. And that's the story of how he got his level 2 certification. Next, we have GTXR, or formerly known as our SAC team. GTXR builds the biggest rockets on campus, hands down. So if you want to build a big rocket, this is for you. GTXR competes in the Spaceport America Cup, which is the world's largest intercollegiate rocket engineering competition. It's hosted in New Mexico, and many of the world's best aerospace schools participate in this competition. And in 2019, we've placed first in the 30,000-foot off-the-shelf category and placed second overall out of 95 international teams. That was our first and only time going to the competition, so it was a very impressive accomplishment, if I do say so myself. The competition this summer has been canceled due to COVID, so yeah. Many aerospace corporations send their recruiting teams here, so if you're looking to get hired, this is one way to do it. GTXR has recently been making their own solid rocket motors, and we plan to make a much bigger rocket this year, a launch rail, and we hope to shoot for space sometime in the future. And if 30,000 feet isn't high enough for you, we also build high-altitude balloons that go up to upwards of 100,000 feet. The HAB team competes annually in the Global Space Balloon Challenge, but they also work in collaboration with the Space Systems Design Lab to test the functionality of CubeSat avionics and other scientific payloads. These are just some pictures that were taken in previous years. Really nice view on the right here. And finally, we have the NASA Student Launch Team, otherwise known as USLI. Now, unfortunately, USLI is on hiatus this year, but I'm going to include it in the video so that you guys will remember it for future reference in case you would like to join when it comes back. The Student Launch Initiative is a challenge that's hosted by NASA to develop rockets that test some sort of novel aspect of rocketry, and it's usually related to a relevant NASA mission. And the challenge itself varies a little bit year to year, but the general idea is that the rocket has to carry some sort of active payload that's usually in the form of a drone or a rover. And once this rocket lands, it has to deploy the drone or the rover, which has to then complete some sort of task. So for example, one year the rover had to drive away from the rocket and then collect a soil sample. And the drone had to fly to a certain location. The competition is hosted in Huntsville, Alabama, so you do get to take a tour of Marshall Space Flight Center, which is really fun. It's also a VIP class, VIP standing for Vertically Integrated Project, and it basically means that you get to take this class for some class credit, usually as a free elective, but I do know that some CS majors take it for their junior design project. So if this does interest you, keep this in the back of your head, and hopefully it'll come back next year. These are the three sub-teams for USLI, as you can see, airframe, avionics, and payloads. And GTXR also has a similar sub-team structure. There are going to be changes to our operations this year because of COVID. Meetings are going to be held online as much as possible, and if they can't, well, then they'll be held in a place where social distancing can happen. The AE school has determined that only one person is allowed in G5 at any time. G5 is the room or workshop that we work in, so this is definitely going to bring up some challenges for us. We are working with the faculty to try and get some more space for us to use, so hopefully that happens. Otherwise, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. HPR will also try to have an online tutorial series for our more remote members who aren't able to be on campus. It's always been a more individual-based project, so we think this is a good idea to have moving forward. but do keep in mind that this is going to take a while to establish. Dues are $20 as per usual. Paying your membership dues really allows us to subsidize most of the cost it would take for you to build these rockets, and it lets us rent cars and book hotels for us to go to these launch events and competitions. The experience that you would get is worth a lot more than $20, and it really does help us out. And you can pay your membership dues in the link in the description below, and make sure you're staying connected. I'll put an emailing list to sign up in the description below, as well as our Slack and social media, so that you can stay up to date on the club. Here's our exec board for the year. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help you and answer any questions you might have. If you do have questions, I recommend you join the Slack or shoot us an email, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And I guess I'll leave you guys with a rocket joke. Where do you file uncategorized rocket items? Under miscellaneous. Get it? Anyway, I hope you guys are staying safe during this pandemic. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you soon.